Chair recognizes the gentleman from New Mexico, Mr. Pearce, for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, Mr. Secretary, for being here. As you respond to Ms. Maloney on the questions about separation of the investment banks from the independent community bankers, I'd like to be included in that written response. I have to say that you've got an impressive resume. Dartmouth, Johns Hopkins, started young in the Department of the Treasury, 5 secretaries of Treasury, chairman of the New York Fed, Secretary of the Treasury. Notwithstanding, one of my friends is on the other side of the aisle trying to make you sound like a choir boy in the room with these terrible Bush appointees that were kind of overwhelming you. You've got a really strong resume and you've accomplished a lot. I think you recognize there are critics that said you didn't have enough experience when we went with the New York Fed. There are critics who, you all said that, I think the estimation is that you worked with the Bush administration, Mr. Paulson, to minimize the effects in 2008. And there are people who strongly question whether or not the actions actually did that or they didn't. And so we can accept the fact that there are discussions. I don't know fancy policy. I'm just a congressman from New Mexico. We don't have big banking institutions. I'm not going to sit here and dazzle you with some question that's going to reorient your thinking about the country. But I have an obligation to those people who elected me to represent them. Now, we've got the whole idea the administration came in with was a definite change for the country, and it was pitched that this is the hope for the future. Now, we've got sustained 8% unemployment. We've got financial difficulties that are erupting everywhere. You got pension systems that are going to fall trillions of dollars short. That's going to make the debt in Europe look small. And it looks like you're not going to stay. If you don't believe in the pathway that you've laid out, I mean, I'm just going by what our friends on the other side of the aisle said. It's probably the last time. I mean, I don't know. I haven't read any reports. I'm not on the inside of that room. So if you're going to go, or even if you stay, why should the people in New Mexico, they're all 99%, I doubt we got any of the 1%ers in New Mexico, why should they believe and trust you or the policies that you've set in place?
Well, let me just say a few things and respond to that. I believe very strongly that this country, this economy, is in a much stronger place than it was when the president took office. I think by every measure, we are in a dramatically stronger place, in a much better position to deal with the many challenges still ahead of us. And we face many challenges still, not just on our fiscal deficits and the remaining problems people face getting a job or keeping a home. And I also believe that the policies we've laid out, have put before the Congress, are the best way to make the country stronger, not just go back to living within our means, but make sure we're protecting the safe net for Americans and that we're making the economy more competitive in the future in that context. So I'm strongly committed to those things. Now, you're right that like you, I'm in public office. I have the privilege in that context of making lots of decisions. Those decisions are going to be controversial decisions. I've taken a lot of criticism for judgments I've had to make from both sides. What all I can do, and what's my responsibility, is to do what I think is in the public interest and to help the president deal with the problems facing the country. Those judgments are going to be viewed by everybody, looked at appropriately, and I fully respect the process of oversight you guys undertake in this context. It's the right thing to do in this context. You guys should do that process. But what all I can do is make sure I'm doing things that I think are in the public interest.
Okay, I appreciate that. On page 4, you talk about the FSOC report talks about the budgetary trends are unsustainable. In your written testimony, you talk about the fact that the budgets are being cut, that government spending is being cut, is causing a weakness of the economy. So when the report talks about the budget trends are unsustainable, is that talking about the debt and the deficits, or is that talking about the cutting and spending that's occurring, in your opinion?
Well, it is true that government spending is falling across the American economy, and that is making growth weaker than it would otherwise be. It's also true, of course, that our long-term deficits are unsustainable, and it would be good for the country for Congress to enact.
Why are they unsustainable? What's the problem with those? What's the problem with debt?
The deficits are too high, and if left unaddressed, then our debt will grow to be too large, and ultimately...
Let me finish up here. We just got a second. I noticed that you spent a lot of time and very strong words talking about the debt discussion, the debt ceiling discussion, but almost no time talking about debt, and I think that's a huge indication of where you are.